Alright friends, welcome back to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to helping players improve their field command through the use of advanced tactics in Bannerlord. And at this stage, I'm sure you're used to it. We're going to have, surprise, surprise, another large battle here. It looks like Valandia or possibly other forces are sieging one of our castles, so we're going to respond to that and take some violent action. In this series, I'm doing my best to show different ways that players can manage their own crises, their own difficult battles. As in my own campaign, I'm facing a crisis made of my own doing, admittedly, where I'm fighting 7 different kingdoms. And so most of the time my frontier is on fire. So knowing we're facing a large battle here, we're going to overstock our troops in our army here a little bit, call together what armies we can, and then see what threat is menacing us down here. This is one of my key castles. It's one of my supply castles where I keep food, and I take that food to cities after they've been sieged for a while. So this is a very important castle for me. Okay, so most of my companions are at full health. Even with this reduced force that we have, I think we're still gonna take a look here and see how many enemies there are. You can always, this guy's chasing this guy. You can always back out of a siege attempt, a counter siege attempt rather, and fall back if the odds are too great. And I think these odds are acceptable. We're almost outnumbered 2-1, but if we use proper tactics, I think this is still a battle we can win. So let's see here. Designate a couple of these heroes to the groups. So my 6th unit is skirmishers. My 8th is archers. Those are elite units. That's my elite reserve unit. I realize a lot of people don't understand what I'm talking about when I talk about some of this stuff, so I'll try to cover the units when I can. 4th and 5th are both archer divisions. They're almost identical. My 1st is my heavy infantry division, and what I'm planning on in this battle is effectively holding this ridge line. You see this hill here. The enemy's going to have to come over that to attack us. There's a little pocket to the right that might be vulnerable. Otherwise, as long as I don't let that enemy over the top of this ridge, we're going to be able to deal out wicked projectile damage with very little risk to our own troops. So we're going to spread our archers out. We'll put our heavy infantry, that's our 1st division, in the front. I've got my 3rd cavalry over on the right. I'm probably going to form them into a square. In this case, it'll effectively be a bait ball for the Valandian heavy cavalry, which is already arriving. The enemy was very close to us, so we're going to have to kind of scramble to run tactics here. I'm going to put my skirmishers in 8th Division on the left flank and let fly arrows. Now I started in hold fire, and I'm going to intermittently come in and out of fire because I need to save ammunition. Meanwhile, it's our job to pick off the guys that sort of get through our net and not harass these archers too much. It's paramount that our high-ranked elite archers can rain death on the enemy, because if they pour over that ridge and we don't have archer support, archer fire suppression, we're in trouble. And you see the squares doing a magnificent job of attracting these idiot fucking Valandian cavalry. They're all just attacking it wonderfully instead of coming in and attacking the main force. I already see infantry coming in, but infantry are going to have one hell of a time approaching too. We will back up a little bit here with the 6th and 8th. I might even pull the 1st back as well. I've got the 2nd Cavalry in a line there, just in a shield wall position, just sort of preventing some of their cavalry from charging through as we pull back our left flank here. I want more distance between this enemy infantry wave and us. That way they have to come through this murderous fire just to get to us. I dismount a lot of times in battles when melee is imminent. I just do a lot more damage. I'm not a particularly great javelin thrower. I make some astonishingly bad throws on a regular basis, but my axe work, I think, is pretty darn good. So the enemy continues to be focused on that cavalry square, which is doing wonderful fucking duty for us. A few of the guys I see are dying here. Jesus Christ, that guy was tough. A few of the guys are dying here and there, but it's doing a wonderful job of simply distracting the enemy while we lay waste with our arrows. And speaking of arrows, I see moving cavalry divisions over there in a line. This is very temporary. Moving my infantry up, I'm actually dragging my 8th unit with me as well, because these archers have found the weak spot here. So I've now got the cavalry sort of in the face of the archers over there. and we're going to advance on them. We got to push these archers out of here. Right? It's not going to be a winning strategy for us if their archers can set up. So we're moving our 1st and 6th over, and we're going to basically push in on the enemy here. Now I do have cavalry in there sort of distracting the enemy, and that'll do a decent job. You can see that bait ball on the right, almost like a fishing bait ball. And in we go, right there. Infantry wants some of this, that's fine. We're a concentrated attack, and I'm also forcing my 1st infantry to move past them. Meanwhile, I'm dragging my 6th and 8th right behind them, and we just mow through these infantry, right? My infantry division pushed up, scared away a lot of the archers, right? The archers, you can see them physically backing away, and our infantry is just moving in, crushing anything that our main shield wall doesn't run over. Now, there's no reason for me to get overextended here, right? This is, I don't remember exactly how many it was. It looked like it was 36, 3,700. There's a lot of enemy troops. There will be more waves, right? The game, when you have a maximum battle size of 1,000, you know, in large battles like this, you can have 3, 4, even 5, 6 waves of enemies, right? And there's a delay as the enemy sort of regroups. You can see him reforming there. I just caught a glimpse, you know, on that ridge. It looks like there's a bunch of cavalry mounting up. The bottom line, though, is that I know this fight has just begun. One of the keys has already been established, though, right? Their enemy vanguard, the most important part of their infantry and cavalry, is destroyed. So same strategy as before. I've got deaths occurring. I'm not sure. That might be our 7th cavalry, which is horse archers. Oh shit! Their cavalry is coming in quick. So we move into shield wall and open fire. And it's critical that we take care of these guys, because if this cavalry sets its hold, sort of gets in here and interrupts us before we can get our archers going, their infantry will come over that ridge unperturbed, unattacked. So it's critical. Let me get this horse. It's critical that we kill this cavalry quick. And, you know, this 120, 140 archers did exactly that. I mean, that was just an absolute massacre. You'll see me grab a horse from time to time, and then I'll jump right off, right? I'm much more comfortable fighting on foot. But there's no question commanding a battle is better from a horse. Obviously, you can move around faster. You can see more of the battlefield. If you want to get to a high point, you just simply run up to a ridge, take a look, and then safely come down. Like this, I can see my infantry's moving up too aggressively. We'll move them back. The 6 skirmishers remain on this left flank. Part of the reason I'm doing that is because if the infantry wave comes over, I want them to have the ability to flank. What I mean by flank, of course, is attacking the enemy on the side. I've got this nice little ridge I can hide behind. These cavalry can't even get to me. Yeah, but I can cut their legs out, though. So I've got my 2nd and 1st. This is my 1st infantry and 2nd cavalry right beneath this ridge. Because if this infantry... Oh, see, these are archers. All right, we open fire. And watch this fucking devastating attack. These guys are going to get annihilated. They're poking their heads up over this ridge, and they're getting hit by 120 archers simultaneously. It's a fucking firing squad. Alright, now I'm also dragging my 1st and 6th infantry right now, because if this doesn't beat them back, we're going to push in physically. I've also physically moved my 2nd cavalry right into their face, and I think we'll give them a charge just to break up their lines even more. And in they go, in chaos, and they're being shot in the back, shot in the face. Heavy cavalry is now stampeding them, and their archer attack is virtually annihilated. You can see how effective it is. If they were to continue to push in, or if infantry charged, I've got my infantry right here, but I'm dragging them back because I want them vulnerable to our arrows, right? See how it's going right over our heads and just raking the enemy. So there's no reason for me to risk any infantry here. We'll just back down this hill and let our archers, javelin, crossbowmen just go to work. A lot of my companions have two full quivers of crossbows or arrows, right? The arrows are just absolutely annihilating everything that comes down this hill. We'll clean up some of the stragglers that somehow survived, and we'll hold fire. And just like that, the sluice is turned off, and these guys, you know, these guys were absolute, well, they're fucking beheaded is what they are. And cavalry, yeah, you're dead too. Alright, let's take another peek here. Whoops, these guys are getting a little bit out of order. If you're going to command 8 army groups, it's critical that you have a good memory, you have a good understanding of what you assign units to do. In the back of my head, I know kind of where my units are. Because if units get sort of out of order, if they get sort of stuck on auto command or a command you gave them, obviously the next thing you know, they're all dying because they're charging the enemy on the other side of the map. So this cavalry, they're coming in, they all look like they need some coffee. They're eviscerated by 10,000 arrows. I mean, they had absolutely no chance. And they made like a little valiant charge at the end there. That's just a pathetic attempt there. At this stage in real life, any real army would be dramatically adjusting tactics. At a minimum, they would stop putting their head over this fucking hill and getting annihilated. Or at least you would think. Of course, in many battles in World War I, they continued to fucking march right over the trenches and just get mowed down by machine gun fire, even though they literally just saw their own other platoons get mowed down like 30 minutes before. It was an astonishing display of stubbornness and stupidity. Of course, they had never experienced machine guns before, so we can't completely armchair quarterback it, but the point here is that, and they are adjusting. Oh, thank God. I mean, it would have been almost a little bit embarrassing if the enemy just did 7-8 waves of the same destructive, useless attack. Now I have plans if they don't charge. It looks like maybe the infantry wants one more beating, one more time taken out to the woodshed here. I'll take a look here. Again, like I said, I like to jump on a horse, sometimes just to do reconnaissance, right? Information is one of the most important things when you're having a big battle like this, right? If you don't know what the enemy's doing, if you don't know where your troops are in relation to the enemy, you have much worse chances of success. Now, I put some cavalry up on this hill, just in shield wall. And the main purpose I'm using that, I got some archers sneaking over. Yeah, let's give them a fucking salvo. Open up this machine gun fire. There's got to be at least 50 Battanian Fian champs in our army. They're Imperial crossbowmen. There's a bunch of nasty archers in that. So I've just got these cavalry up here to finish that thought, strictly to slow down cavalry charges from the enemy. If the enemy comes in with a cavalry charge of 200 guys, at this stage I don't have enough cavalry to really stop it all. But if I have a handful of cavalry, those guys can kind of break up their lines and reduce the effectiveness of their attack. This infantry line, I think we're going to take advantage of. I mean, they're battered, they're bruised, their morale is punished. Let's fucking kill these guys. There can't be very many of them. They've already been hammered. A lot of them are wounded. Alright, so this is a bit of a problem, so I'm going to try to physically push in here, because now we're over the ridge. It's critical that I make an aggressive, very fast attack, so that these crossbowmen, and they're splitting into two wings, so I kind of want to stick on this side of the ridge. I don't want them to get up and start raining death on us, right? So I physically sent in units. I actually sent in the 4th and 5th archers, which might seem strange to you. I ordered archers to charge the enemy. In fact, I didn't even order them. I physically pointed their whole formation into the midst of the enemy. And the key is that I know roughly how long it takes. I know they're more or less in the battle now, and I gave them the charge command, right? That means now that they're amidst the enemy, right? I want the archers, the enemy archers, running or interrupted, and my archers are in there wailing at them with whatever weapons they have. Admittedly, not all my archers have great weapons, but the Battanian Fian champs sure do. So now we've pushed them completely off the ridge. The enemy is running, and when you have the enemy on the run like this, do not stop. Do not stop the attack until it's obvious that either it's going to fail badly, or they get like a huge line of reinforcements or something else like that. We're just going to keep on pushing in here, right? The enemy's running, our guys are shooting. If you give archers the charge command and they have arrows left and they have a good shot, the AI is smart enough to just take shots when it can, right? So those guys are getting shot. Kind of losing momentum here. It's obviously easier to run away than to attack. Every time you swing your weapon, you run slower. So almost invariably, when you're chasing an enemy, they're going to get away like they just did. Still, they suffer very heavy losses on that retreat. And it's a regrouping retreat, right? I think. Sometimes in really bad routes like this, the enemy will just fucking throw their hands up and give up. But I don't think that's the case. In fact, looking at the numbers, that, you know, when you hold the Alt button, their troops aren't going anywhere. In fact, they're probably setting up for another attack here. So what do we have in front of us here, right? You should start to recognize this. Once your battlefield prowess gets pretty good, I don't like this small shield. No, I don't need two shields. Get this fucking thing out of here. your battlefield prowess and your vision of the battle will get better with the more fights that you get into. You will recognize that we're now staring at the same ridge that the enemy just came over like 3 or 4 times, right? We're going to make them come to us here, or we're going to take a different approach. Can't tell if this is just cavalry, but we'll fight this cavalry here. Like at this stage, their cavalry is weak. It's like tier 3, tier 4 guys. These guys are lightly armored. We've got Battanian Fiend champs. I've got master archers and high-level crossbowmen. We're going to lay waste to this fucking pathetic cavalry. I am aware that I usually say cavalry, and that the correct word is cavalry. But it's I'm kind of a 50-year-old war dog. It's going to be hard for me to learn a new trick. I will do my best, and I apologize to the grammar folks out there or people who cringe every time I say cavalry. I will try to say cavalry instead of calvary. So the enemy's kind of on the other side of that ridge. Again, we're not going to push down. There's no reason for us to put our heads over the ridge yet and have the same thing that happened to the enemy happen to us. Now, I may explore this flank over here. This left flank, if I can get guys down in it, I can perform a sweeping flank attack and then charge in the center and really devastate this enemy position. I've got my first infantry, of course, right in the front. Those are my heavy infantry. And at this stage, we've had very few losses. I'm confident we haven't had a reinforcement round. And if you're not familiar in large battles, you typically get reinforcements when your forces are reduced by somewhere between 1/2 and 2/3. So that means we've probably had less than 100 casualties so far. And, totally destroyed 3 or 4 waves of the enemy. So I see them setting up there, and you can see all their crossbowmen are literally pointing their fucking bolts right at us. But we're not going to go over. At least not without a plan, a distractionary tactic, something else, right? We're going to wait for them to either make a mistake, tactical mistake. There's a huge wave of cavalry coming in. Let's get our cavalry up here, and let's get this first infantry into a square. And I'm going to hide right behind this thing. All right, boys, protect your Jarl here. All right, so all I'm doing in this case is just working around the edges of this square. I see, the enemy's right behind this square with archers. I don't know if you can make it out. You're going to have to trust me. You can always pause and go back if you want. But I can, there they are. The enemy has a big wave of crossbow, so we're going to just stay behind their own troops. Right? If we go to the left or the right here, they will have a shot. So we're not going to do that. Right? We're going to stay right behind their own troops. They can't shoot through their own cavalry, through their own cavalry. And we're just going to mow down this sad, unarmed, very lightly armored cavalry. Now they have a big shield wall in front. That's kind of blocking their archers' view a little bit. I think it's time to try a flanking maneuver here. I don't want to sit here all day, and I do want to show you some alternative tactics. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to, it keeps me giving me the attack command. I'm trying to send archers, there, I sent the 4th, 5th, and 6th off on the left flank. Oh, they're swinging out there too. We're probably just going to have to bull rush this. I'm sending in the 1st, 6th, and 8th. The archers divisions, though, the point is I'm trying to drag them off to the side so that they can kind of sweep around and envelop this enemy. You see them coming around that side over there? As they come over, we will fly into battle. As the enemy lines widen, you see the enemy lines are widening. I don't want to get flanked ourselves, so we widened our lines, and now we fly in for combat. Everybody charge. And again, like earlier, we're going to incur some losses here. They have some guys shooting. But this is one of those attacks. You do not pull back. You do not stop the attack. Look at the screens, mostly green. You don't stop this kind of attack unless you face a major problem, a major obstacle, a huge wave of enemy reinforcements, because the momentum is ours. And momentum in a battle is a very real thing. If you're steamrolling them, you're getting kills, not only does it devastate morale, but your guys are moving forward, and that physical momentum actually means they do more damage. The enemy that's retreating does less damage, you do more damage. So we charge. The other part of it too, I see more reinforcements coming in, right? It's starting to get a little tenuous. I'm seeing more red on the screen, right? We're suffering losses. The other part that's problematic, well, not problematic, the other part that's beneficial really here is that I may not need to kill all these enemies. At some point during this ass whipping, they're gonna, well, I think they'll try to flee. Every once in a while you run into a stubborn enemy that won't run. They already look like they're running. They're either reforming or they're running. Okay, so when they pair your block, that's a very clear key that they are just reforming. That's something for players to know if you didn't know that before. If guys are running, it looks like they're running from you and you attack them and they block an attack with their shield, they're not running for their lives. They're running for reforming lines. Right? You can actually see them starting to reform on this line up here. So we push in. All right, again, we're not going to give them this ridge. We're not going to give them time to set up. We're going to keep pushing in. We're trying to break their morale and cause their whole force to run. I don't know how many are left. They probably have 1,000 or 1,500 left. If we can make them run, this battle is over, just like real life. Now this ridge here, our momentum kind of stalled, and so I'm just taking advantage of the fact that, again, we have another protective ridge. On the other side of this ridge, undoubtedly, the enemy has archers lined up. Look, I have reinforcements finally coming in. So we're going to take advantage of these reinforcements. These reinforcements, by the way, also will have ammunition before we make the final plunge here. I mean, the enemy is all but destroyed, but we're going to fight this battle as if it's our last battle, and it's going to last, you know, 10 hours. Let's take a peek. That's not reforming. I've had my ass kicked, and I want to take my ball and go home. One guy shot an arrow at me, shot a bolt at me. But most of those guys are fucking out of here. We're gonna push in. This battle's basically over. This demonstration, I've called this tactic before in other videos. We're gonna call it the Peekaboo Ridge. You know, it is obviously taking advantage of the artificial intelligence, but this is a real tactic, right? If the enemy wants to approach you over a ridge, take advantage of that, right? We're taking advantage of the ridge, we're taking advantage of squares, flanking, combination attacks to annihilate this large force of Atlanteans. Now they're out of here. This battle is finished. Well, I'm getting more comfortable doing voiceovers. This is about 35 videos now doing voiceovers the last 3 months. There's been nice growth on the channel. I apologize for any ads. I'm not trying to monetize any of these videos. I'm just a war enthusiast who enjoys talking about war. I have a great database and knowledge base of war and war history. I'm eagerly playing Bannerlord and exploring new tactics to destroy the enemy. And hopefully I can benefit many of you subscribers and watchers with those tactics. If you liked what you saw here, there's going to be plenty more big battles in this campaign. Please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Even if you have a critique, that's totally fine. And I'll see you fellas next time.